In recent years, there's been a resurgence in traditionally used medicinal plants to improve health, either alone or in combination with conventional medicine. Local phytotherapists have noted an increase in the use of indigenous herbs such as Rooibos, Honeybush, Buchu, Aloe, ferox and devil's claw, among others, as the go-to plant-based treatment methods for healing. Now, joining us on Zoom for a deeper conversation about this, we are joined on Zoom by Dr Caren Hauptfleisch, and she is the chairperson of the South African Association of Registered Phytotherapists. Dr Caren, good morning. A very warm welcome to Morning Live. I mean, for the benefit of our viewers who may not be familiar, what is your profession? And speak to us about, give us a brief background on what you do.
Okay, so I'm a phytotherapy practitioner, and that's a diagnostic natural healthcare practitioner. I am licensed through the South African Association of Allied Healthcare Practitioners, and we are legally allowed to diagnose and treat our patients. And the treatment that we provide is food and herbal medicine. So we trained to understand the pharmacy, the history, the therapeutics of herbal medicine. And we, in many ways, we're a bit of a bridge between the more traditional practices, which are the knowledge holders of the indigenous medicine. So in South Africa, you've got your African traditional herbalists, and you've got your Cape Bush doctors in the Western Cape. Phytotherapists work with various herbs from around the world, but being in South Africa, we do incorporate certain indigenous herbs into our practices.
Now, unpack for us, the importance of plant-based treatments and how people are going back to indigenous, health practices as opposed to, opting for modern healthcare.
So in the world, what's interesting is that if we think of modern healthcare, it has a history of 300 years. And many of those plants, medicines, are derived from plants. Or nowadays, they're using maybe one constituent from a herb as a medicine. And so people in the world are looking at, in the Western world specifically, our major problems are what we call lifestyle diseases. So the phytotherapy and the herbal medicine and food and lifestyle is the medicine for that. So this is why the population are looking to how can they keep themselves healthy? How can they prevent? And that's where phytotherapy comes in a big way. How do we prevent illnesses? And then how do we treat certain lifestyle diseases? So the world over, this is becoming more and more apparent. And also there are things like multi-drug resistant diseases. Antibiotics are not creating the great healing that's expected in the past. So we're looking into nature once again. And what's also exciting is that science is starting to understand was a bit of a mystery.
You say there's a steady increase, though, in the use of herbs that can be seen throughout the world. Tell us more about this.
It falls in line with the same reason for people, because these diseases are becoming so widespread. People are naturally seeking plants that keep them healthy. It's one of the biggest growing industries in the world is natural health care and herbal medicine. I've been involved in this industry for 30 years, and it's apparent just from one person looking around and understanding and seeing and having an interest, this industry has got a huge future.
And talk to us about, herbs such as, Rooibos, Honeybush, Buchu, and Aloe are being commercialized herbs in the farming sector.
So it's important that we have very healthy agricultural practices around herbs. Because they're medicine, it's important that they are as close to their natural form as possible. But as we've seen in for example, a herb that's called ginkgo, the tree, it would have been made extinct if it wasn't for the priests in the areas having forests that were natural and wild around them, that it would have gone extinct. So we need to continue to harbor the diversity of the plants in nature. So we have lots of wild places. We need to protect those. And then that's why we do need to commercialize the growth. Another plant like the devil's claw nearly went extinct because of humans' love of it. And it was only through people realizing, oh my word, we're about to destroy this herb that is of use. Let's commercialize. Let's find out how do we grow this plant. The same happened with Buchu, where it was really becoming very difficult, and agriculture didn't yet know how to grow it because it's a very endemic plant. It grows in a very specific area. And once they found a way to grow it, it's now become more available. So we need to just make sure that the growing, the methods that we use are sustainable for nature and for the plant.
One of the things that you also note, is that, herbal medicine should only be used if it's able to be sustainably grown. Talk to us about this. What do you mean by this?
So what I mean by that is, for example, if you have a tree and you strip it of its bark, it's like removing the skin from a human. It won't live. So you won't be able to go back there every year. With herbal medicine, we harvest seasonally. So you need to make sure that the plants that you're harvesting, you're going to ensure that there's constantly a living herb and that they thrive and flourish. So we need to, as humans, make sure that we harvest in a way that safeguards the plants. And that also means staying away from wild places, but ensuring that the herbalists have access to herbs in their areas that are viable and healthy for human consumption.
And one of the things that you also talk about is how science and clinical use are now confirming the medicinal value of these herbs.
Yes. So that's very, very exciting. I mean, herbs like, for example, Rooibos, which is a herb that we would speak of as a tonic herb. It's a beverage. Science has starting to understand what it's doing, and many herbs help the body stay healthy. So if you're somebody who uses Rooibos a lot, you would benefit by having it. It's an antioxidant, so it reduces oxidative stress, which means it reduces the way we age. It also is a herb that can help prevent, it's called the metabolic syndrome, which is very much a lifestyle disease. Diabetes falls into that, various forms of hypertension. Rooibos goes a long way to keep you healthy. Once you're ill, if people are ill, then we would need to use a different strategy. But science is showing us, and then even in things like Honeybush, it's a herb that actually it looks after our mitochondria, which basically also goes a long way to helping reduce oxidative stress, improve the way our body has and uses the energy, and it also has a neuroprotective ability. So it can reduce age-related mental degeneration, and science is showing us, wow, this is what is going on.
Yeah, and I think I've also read somewhere that aloe is also very good for your skin.
Yes, aloes and skin, and also even in our internal mucous membranes, it's got these incredible polysaccharides. Now, when we talk about aloe, we're also talking about two very distinct medicines, because the juice that comes out of the green part is this bitter aloe that some people might know about. It's a very purgative latex. That in the long term can lead to problems with your digestive system. But when you're looking at the gel, and it has its place if one's very, very constipated or very old and really actually needs something to keep the bowel moving. But when you look at the gel can be used. It was found also in Hiroshima when there was radiation from the bomb, that they actually had some aloes in their nature, their physic gardens, and they were used to treat those burns. So it's incredibly healing for the skin and, as I said, and an internal mucosa.
All right, Dr. Caren, thank you so much for speaking to us. Good luck in the future. And she is SAARP Chairperson, Dr. Caren, and we've been speaking to her about the healing power of indigenous herbs in our country.